By now, you've already heard that several members of Trump's administration shared, inadvertently apparently, top secret military information with a reporter. There was an unsecured text message thread that involved Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and somebody inadvertently included the editor at The Atlantic, I believe. And they were talking about the precise military actions that were going to occur against the Houthis in Yemen. So first, what did the president have to say about it after hearing about it? And the video is going to focus on Speaker Johnson's face, but listen to what Trump has to say about it.
President, your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
So in typical Trump fashion, he attacks the publication, says he doesn't know anything about the situation, and kind of distances himself from the conspiracy. First of all, The Atlantic is not going out of business. This is the same fucking guy that told us that the New York Times has been going out of business, or has been telling us that the New York Times is going out of business. The failing New York Times for a decade now. He's just a fucking child. He's an infant. But for a guy who's the head of it all, the guy who's got the best brain, who knows everything that's going on, he sure doesn't know anything about the bad shit that happens. Anyway, there's Trump denying any knowledge of it. Now, what about the Secretary of Defense, the guy who runs our Defense Department and was the one texting all of it? Well, he followed his dear leader's footsteps, and he attacked the publication.
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
And then, of course, that journalist responds in that video. But there's Pete Hegseth denying he did what he did and then attacking the publication again. But here's what he had to say when Hillary Clinton had a server in her house. As a matter of fact, here's what a few of them had to say.
How damaging is it to your ability to recruit or build allies with others when they are worried that our leaders may be exposing them because of their gross negligence or their recklessness in handling information? Everyone knows what top secret means. I've had a top secret clearance. It's big, red, flashing letters, top secret. You know when you're looking at something that's top secret or dealing with it.
When I'm president of the United States, neither she nor any of these other people are going to be above the law, whether it's her or any of these other folks. People are going to be held accountable if they broke the laws of this country. This president obviously is willing to protect his political cronies, but we're going to hold people accountable.
No, the double standard is incredible. Imagine if it was, Donald Trump, what the media would be doing to him right now, eviscerating him. Or imagine if it was a member of the military, which we've seen from General Cartwright and General Petraeus. They still go after these guys for a tiny, tiny fraction of what she willfully did and betrayed her country in doing so, supposedly for convenience. And it turns out foreign services want to know what our Secretary of State thinks. And in this instance, they did whatever they could to break an unsecure server in her basement. It tells you everything you need to know. Who knows what they heard and what they have, and the kind of leverage that gives in negotiations or conversations when you know what our hand is and you can anticipate it or get in front of it, or you know our sources and methods.
I'm not surprised that a military guy like yourself is fired up, because it's people like you who pay the price for this kind of
That's exactly right.
Extraordinary stuff.
So back then, having a server in your house was the end of the world. Never mind the fact that Republicans like Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell both had servers in their house. But having a server in your house was the end of the world. Now, discussing military actions on an unsecured platform is no big deal, I guess. Oh no, wait a minute. He said that wasn't happening. That never happened. Well, then why did the Speaker of the House refer to it as an inadvertent leak after meeting with the president?
Transmitting classified war plans. Are you concerned about Trump officials transmitting classified war plans on unsecured channels?
Listen, the administration, as I understand, I just was with the president in the Oval Office just now. The administration is addressing what happened. Apparently, an inadvertent phone number made it onto that thread. They're going to track that down and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
They didn't deny that it happened. They said that an inadvertent phone number got on that thread. Pete Hegseth is denying that it happened. Donald Trump is saying he doesn't know anything about it. All of that tells you that this is real, that actually happened. That gentleman has the text messages, has the screen grabs, has the conversation. Pete Hegseth can deny all he wants. At the end of the day, what happened is several senior members of the Trump administration, including the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State and the Vice President of the United States, were casually discussing war plans, were casually discussing airstrike plans over an unsecure platform, and inadvertently included a member of the press. They're careless as fuck. They are everything they claim that the Democrats were, and they're never going to hold their own accountable because they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites.